The final person in the group was a horse-faced youth. He sneered at Wang Lin. "Brother Wang Zhuo, you've been in training for 3 months, so you do know. This Wang Lin is the biggest joke in the sect. Just as Sister Su said, he used dirty tricks to get in." Wang Zhu laughed loudly. "Ah, so that's it. You scared me for a second, Wang Lin, but even if you're here, you'll never reach the first layer of qi condensation. Why bother tarnishing the Wang family name?" Sister Zhou spoke up gently. "Brother Wang, talent is important, but perseverance matters more. Cultivation is fighting against the heavens. Without will, talent is useless." Sister Su immediately cut in, trying to ruin the moment. "But this Wang Lin looks so dumb. He doesn't look like a cultivator at all." Wang Lin chuckled. He saw right through them. Wang Zhu liked Zhou, Su liked Wang Zhu. It was a messy triangle. Hearing Wang Lin laugh, Wang Zhu's face turned ugly. "Wang Lin," he threatened, "leave the sect. If you don't, you'll be crippled in the disciple competition at the end of the year. Don't say I didn't warn you." Wang Lin shrugged. "Why are you so worried about the life and death of trash like me?" "Because we are relatives," Wang Zhu spat. "My father told me how your father stole our inheritance. You are a disgrace to the Wang family." Sister Su's eyes widened. Relatives. She quickly tried to smooth things over. "Brother Wang is a good person. He just wants you to be better. Not everyone can be as excellent as him." Wang Zhu blushed, unsure if she was complimenting or mocking him. Wang Lin burst out laughing. "Wang Zhu, I misunderstood you. You are so good to me, thank you." Just then the pill house door opened. Wang Hao walked out looking bright and cheerful. "The pills are still cooking," he announced. "Wait a bit longer." He spotted Wang Lin and pulled him aside. "Brother Tai Zhu, congratulations. I heard everything. Ignore those idiots. Once you are strong, you can get revenge." Wang Lin smiled warmly. "Thank you, Wang Hao." Wang Hao sighed. "I wanted to stay with you back then, but my dad stopped me. Forgive me." "It's in the past," Wang Lin said. "I just want to reach the first layer." Wang Hao glanced around. Seeing no one watching, he shoved something into Wang Lin's hand and winked. "Pill helper, get back in here," a cold voice shouted from inside. Wang Hao rushed back in. Wang Lin looked at his hand, 3 transparent pills. He hid them quickly and sat down to wait. Hours passed. The sky turned dark. Finally, Wang Hao returned with a tray, 5 spirit stones and 5 pills for the group. Wang Lin took his share, 1 stone, 1 pill, and smiled at Wang Hao before leaving. But in his pocket, he now had 4 pills. He remembered Wang Hao's kindness. In this cold sect, a little warmth went a long way. Wang Lin locked his door. He ignored the qi-gathering pills for now. He had a more dangerous experiment in mind. He laid out the 3 gourds and the mysterious stone bead. He hesitated. The dew inside these gourds was his lifeline. Without it, his cultivation would be agonizingly slow. But the bead, it now had 9 clouds. If the 10th cloud appeared, would the bead transform? Would it become even more powerful? He decided to take the risk. He opened the gourd containing the best morning dew. It had thickened into a green jelly, smelling incredibly refreshing. He poured it into a stone bowl and dropped the bead inside. He waited. The bead began to absorb the liquid slowly. Disappointed that there was no immediate flash of light, Wang Lin shoved the bowl under his bed and sat down to cultivate. He popped a qi-gathering pill into his mouth. Heat spread through his body, relaxing him, but just like with Sun Daju's medicine, he couldn't condense a single wisp of spiritual energy. He sighed. Wang Zhu reached the first layer in 3 months. "I'm still at 0. Talent really is everything." But Wang Lin was stubborn. "Time," he whispered. "I just need time." He checked the bowl again. Half the liquid was gone, still only 9 clouds. He grabbed another gourd and poured it in. There was a little bit of extra liquid left over, so Wang Lin drank it. Boom! The heat in his body this time was terrifying. It didn't fade like the pill. It grew hotter and hotter. His body felt like a balloon being inflated to its limit. Wang Lin stopped cultivating, terrified. He opened his eyes and looked down. Horror gripped him. His blood vessels were bulging, wriggling like worms under his skin. He had made a mistake. The dew contained far more energy than the pills. It was a roaring fire, and his body was too weak to contain it. He was going to explode. In a panic, an idea struck him. If one long breath and 3 short breaths gathered energy, would the reverse scatter it? He gritted his teeth and reversed the rhythm. 1 short breath, 3 long breaths. Whoosh! Streams of spiritual energy rushed out of his pores. The stone bead under the bed hummed, sucking in the excess energy greedily. As the swelling went down, Wang Lin noticed something strange. A dark, foul qi was being expelled along with the energy. He didn't know it, but this desperate move had saved him. The dark qi was the qi-scattering grass toxin that Sun Daju had secretly fed him. By flooding his body with energy and then forcefully expelling it, he had washed the poison right out of his system. The process lasted a day and a night. Finally, Wang Lin collapsed on his bed, exhausted but alive. He had survived his mistake, and unknowingly he had cleared the path for his future cultivation. After an unknown time, Wang Lin woke up in darkness. He felt surprisingly normal. He reached under his bed and pulled out the stone bowl. The 10th cloud had appeared. Thrilled, he ran to the spring, gathered water, soaked the bead, and drank. Nothing happened. He bit the bead, hard as rock. He dripped blood on it, nothing. In frustration, he slammed a stone bowl onto it. The bowl shattered, numbing his hand, but the bead remained perfect. Heartbroken, he threw the bead aside. Moments later, he crawled over and picked it up again. As he stared at it, a heavy drowsiness washed over him. Why was he sleepy? He had just woken up. He fought it, but his eyelids grew heavy. The world blurred and he collapsed. He woke up in a dream. It was a boundless space. No stars, just glowing lights floating in an endless void. His mind was clear, surprisingly clear for a dream. He wandered aimlessly for what felt like hours, unable to wake up. Finally, exhaustion set in. The world shook and a tearing sensation ripped through him. He screamed and woke up in his room. He gasped for air, wiping sweat from his forehead. It was just a dream. But when he looked at the bead in his hand, his eyes widened. The clouds were gone. In their place were tiny, glowing symbols. Wang Lin squinted. They looked like numbers in an ancient script. Was the dream connected to the bead? He lay back down, staring intently at the bead until sleep took him again. Back in the boundless space. This time, Wang Lin didn't wander. He experimented. He started jumping. At first, he could only jump half a meter. He kept jumping higher and higher, pushing his dream body to the limit. When he finally woke up, he immediately jumped out of bed. He soared over a meter into the air. Wang Lin froze. It wasn't just a dream. The physical effort in that space had transferred to his real body. But was that it? Just a place to exercise? That seemed useless. He could exercise in reality. Why did the bead need so much spiritual energy just for this? He paced the room, mind racing. There had to be more. Could it be time? The thought struck him like lightning. He grabbed an oil lamp and filled it to the brim. He knew exactly how long this lamp would burn, 5 hours. He stared at the bead and entered the dream space. This time he didn't jump. He sat cross-legged and counted. 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 50 hours. The tearing sensation returned. He woke up. He looked at the lamp. It was just flickering out. 5 hours had passed in reality, but in the dream space, 50 hours had passed. 10 times the time. Wang Lin stood up, trembling with excitement. He held the bead tightly against his chest. With this, he had 10 times more time to cultivate than anyone else. Even with his poor talent, even if he was trash, he could outwork them all. He was finally confident. He, Taizhu, would become an immortal. Wang Lin was determined. He locked his door, tying a rope from the handle to his arm just in case. He drank several gulps of the spiritual spring water, felt the heat rise in his body, and stared at the bead. Darkness took him. He was back in the dream space. He sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. The gentle lights floating in the void drifted toward him, entering his body silently. A day passed in the dream. The energy from the water faded, but this time something was different. Usually the energy would scatter completely, but now a tiny sliver remained. It wasn't much, but it was there. Wang Lin was ecstatic. He continued to cultivate, but without more water, the feeling turned suffocating. He realized there was no natural spiritual energy in this dream world. He had to bring his own. He checked his pockets. His red uniform was there, but his bag of holding was gone. Why? 50 hours passed and he woke up. He immediately experimented. He couldn't enter the dream whenever he wanted. He had to wait 5 hours between sessions. Next, he tested items. He strapped a sweet potato, a broken bowl, a cloth, and 3 gourds to his body. In the dream, the potato, bowl, and cloth appeared, but the gourds and the bag of holding were gone. Wang Lin realized the rule. Anything containing spiritual energy was rejected. The gourds he used had soaked in magic water for too long. They had absorbed the energy themselves. He couldn't bring magic items, but the energy inside his own body stayed. An idea struck him. What if he used fresh gourds? He ran into the mountains, picked new, wild gourds, and filled them with spiritual water just before entering the dream. They hadn't had time to absorb the energy into their shells yet. 5 hours later, he entered the dream with 4 fresh gourds on his shoulder. Success, they were there. He popped the cork and drank. The water was still potent. Wang Lin cultivated like a madman. Every time the energy faded, he drank more. Slowly, slivers of spiritual energy began to gather in his body, inching him closer to the first layer of qi condensation. With his poor talent and the lingering effects of the poison, it should have taken 50 years. Even after curing the poison, it would have taken 10. But now, with unlimited spiritual water and 10 times the cultivation time, the impossible was becoming possible. Time flew by. 2 months passed in the real world, but in the dream space, Wang Lin had cultivated for a whole year. Cultivation was dry and boring. He sat alone in the dark, repeating the breathing technique over and over. If not for the image of his hopeful parents in his mind, he would have gone mad. But he persisted. He drank the spiritual spring water like it was tap water. If Sun Dazhu knew, he would die of heartache. In the entire country of Zhao, only old monsters from top sects could afford such luxury. But Wang Lin, a rejected disciple, used it freely. With the help of the bead and the water, the energy in his body grew until it reached a critical point. Today, the change happened. As Wang Lin breathed, 2 long white dragons of mist steamed from his nose. A sensation of ants crawling covered his skin. Black, foul-smelling liquid oozed from his pores, soaking his clothes. He didn't care. He felt wonderful. He could feel the spring water rushing inside him, transforming his very bones. Wang Lin opened his eyes. A new light shone within them. His heart was calm as still water. The memories of his childhood, the ridicule of his relatives, the arrogance of the other disciples, he viewed them all like a stranger. He had stepped through the gate. He had reached the first layer of qi condensation. He had cut off worldly affairs, except for the love of his parents. The dream ended. The tearing pain was barely a tickle now. Wang Lin woke up in his room. He looked into his gourd. Before, he saw only water. Now he could see the spiritual energy swirling inside it. He was no longer blind. He smelled the stench coming from his body. Sticky black filth covered his skin, the impurities expelled during his breakthrough. He ran out the east gate to the river, stripping off his clothes and jumping in. He scrubbed the greasy filth away, revealing skin that seemed to glow with health. Lying on a rock to dry, Wang Lin smiled. He recalled the 3 stages of qi condensation booklet. Now that he was at the first layer, he could learn magic. There were 3 techniques available to him. First, the attractive force technique. This was the foundation for controlling flying swords. Second, the fireball technique. And third, the earth-splitting technique. Wang Lin was thrilled to try his new techniques, but reality was harsh. Fireball technique, not even a spark. Earth-splitting technique, a crack the size of a pinky finger. He laughed bitterly. Talent, it's always talent. Finally, he focused on the attraction force technique. It was the simplest one, just grabbing objects from a distance. After hours of practice, he could barely lift a small rock. As the sun set, he headed home. His senses were sharper now. Near the chore house, he heard familiar voices. Brother Liu, Zhang Hu's voice was desperate. You said 100 pounds of firewood was enough. Why is it 1,000 pounds now? Are you trying to force me out? The weasel's cold voice replied, Don't blame me, you were lazy, and you saw things you shouldn't have seen. Zhao Fugui gave me a talisman for an easy job, so what? If the elders find out, you know. your whole family dies. Wang Lin kicked open the door. Inside, the weasel was thrusting a dagger at a terrified Zhang Hu. Wang Lin reacted instantly, attraction force. An invisible hand grabbed the weasel, freezing him in place just as the dagger sliced Zhang Hu's chest. Blood sprayed. Zhang Hu scrambled away, pale and sweating. The weasel struggled against the invisible grip. Wang Lin's forehead dripped with sweat. It was his first time using magic on a person, and his control was slipping. Zhang Hu saw his chance. His expression turned ruthless. He grabbed a wood-cutting axe. "Not a man without poison," he muttered. "You forced me, Liu." "Zhang Hu, no," Wang Lin shouted, losing his concentration. The invisible force vanished, but it was too late. Crack! Zhang Hu slammed the axe into the weasel's skull. The sound was like a watermelon splitting open. The weasel twitched once and went still. Silence filled the room. Wang Lin stared at the corpse, stunned. Zhang Hu looked up, his face distorted. "You saw it, Wang Lin. He forced me. If not for you, I would be dead." He quickly looted the body. He found a bag of holding full of talismans and a strange booklet. Then, he found a secret compartment under the bed containing a yellow paper. "Wang Lin," Zhang Hu said, handing him the yellow paper. "You saved me. I can't stay here. The sect will find the body. I'm leaving. Take this. It must be a treasure if he was willing to kill for it." Wang Lin hesitated. Why did you have to kill him?" "Don't ask," Zhang Hu snapped. "I've suffered enough. If you are my friend, take it." Wang Lin took the paper with a heavy heart. "I'm leaving," Zhang Hu said, turning to the door. "This has nothing to do with you. The country of Zhao is large. I won't be a servant forever." He walked out into the night, leaving Wang Lin alone with the dead body. Wang Lin stared at the empty spot where his friend had been. He held the yellow talisman in his hand. "This caused everything," he whispered. He examined it closely. It looked like a normal homecoming talisman, but the spiritual energy within it was immense, and it radiated a sense of danger. It was a treasure, no doubt. He put it away. Looking at the corpse of the weasel, he sighed. If he left it here, Zhang Hu wouldn't get far. Using his bag of holding, he stored the body and snuck into the mountains to dispose of it. When he returned, he pushed the memory of Zhang Hu aside and focused on the future. He entered the dream space. This time he didn't just cultivate, he practiced the attraction force technique. He set up a gourd as a target. Grab, release, grab, release. His success rate was abysmal. Only 3 out of 10 attempts worked. He practiced tirelessly until the tearing sensation woke him up. Back in reality, he drank more spiritual water and continued. When his energy was full, he attempted to break through to the second layer of qi condensation. He recited the chant from the manual. Boiling heat surged through his body. It felt like ants biting him, like his body was full of holes leaking air. He failed. Sweating and exhausted, Wang Lin wasn't discouraged. The book said failure was normal. He just needed more spiritual energy. He cultivated day and night. Half a month passed in reality, 3 months in the dream space. He tried the breakthrough chant again and again. Every time he ended up drained and defeated. Failed again, he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. The second layer is too hard. Suddenly, a cold voice came from outside. "Junior brother Wang, come out." Wang Lin's heart tightened. He opened the door. Standing there was a youth in black robes, radiating a chilling aura. Wang Lin recognized him instantly. It was the same disciple who had brought him to the sect months ago. Back then, he wore white. Now he wore black. He had advanced. This was Zhang, the disciple who had saved Wang Lin's father on the cliff. Wang Lin bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Brother Zhang. Congratulations on reaching black clothes." Brother Zhang nodded. "My breakthrough to the 5th layer was thanks to you. If I hadn't found that cave while looking for you, I wouldn't have advanced so quickly." Wang Lin's eyes widened. "That cave helps cultivation." "When you reach the peak of the 4th layer, go there yourself," Zhang said. "But, looking at you now, you haven't even reached the 1st layer. You have no spiritual energy at all. I'm afraid you are the weakest disciple in the sect." Wang Lin forced a smile. "I will double my efforts, but why are you here?" Brother Zhang chuckled. "The honorary disciple in charge of the chore house disappeared. Someone saw you there that day." Wang Lin kept his face calm. "I passed by. He was talking behind my back, so I taught him a lesson. Maybe he got scared and ran away. Zhang seemed to accept this. A disgusting honorary disciple isn't important. But now the position is empty. The elders want an inner disciple to take over, but no one wants the job. So, it's yours. Wang Lin groaned internally. He didn't want this. Too many prying eyes, too much work disrupting his cultivation. Pack your things, Zhang said, summoning a flying sword. The chore house is a mess, fix it. He flew off, leaving Wang Lin fuming. Fine, Wang Lin thought, I'll take the job, but I'll make such a mess that they'll beg the elders to replace me. He arrived at the chore house and threw the dead weasel's belongings into the yard. Soon 100 honorary disciples gathered. They were nervous. The ones who had mocked Wang Lin were pale and trembling. Wang Lin sat on a chair, glaring at them. He pointed at a boy who had once sneered at him. Chop 500 pounds of firewood. The boy gasped, Brother Wang, I work in the kitchen. I don't know how to chop wood. Wang Lin rolled his eyes. Now it's 1,000 pounds a day. The boy fell to his knees, crying, Brother Wang, I'm sorry, please don't be so vindictive. Discontent rippled through the crowd. This is too much, someone shouted. Let's go to the elders. Wang Lin is a tyrant. Yeah, let's get him removed. He's a disgrace. The crowd surged out of the yard, marching toward the main courtyard to complain. Wang Lin smiled. Perfect. If they complained enough, he would be fired and free to cultivate. He waited. A while later, the crowd returned, but there was no victory in their eyes. They walked back in silence, heads hung low in despair. The elders hadn't listened. Wang Lin sighed. He had to try harder. He stood up and announced loudly, Listen up, everyone who mocked me in the past. I am here for revenge. If you don't like it, go complain again. If you can get me fired, I will personally thank you. Please, Brother Wang, a disciple begged. We were blind, forgive us. I never mocked you. Another lied, I defended you. Wang Lin ignored them all. He was going to turn this chore house upside down. The crowd erupted into chaos. He mocked you, one shouted, no, he did. Two brothers, Zhao Zio and Zhao Zio San, started fighting each other to prove their loyalty. Brother Wang, you are kind, give me easy work. A pretty female disciple batted her eyelashes. Brother Wang, I am too weak for hard labor. How about I give you a massage every night? Another girl giggled. Brother Liu never gave me hard work. I can bring my sisters to visit you tonight. Shut up, Wang Lin roared. What a mess. The yard went silent. Wang Lin pointed a finger at a trembling disciple. 20 vats of water a day. If you are unhappy, go to the elders. The disciple nodded frantically. Wash 500 kilograms of clothes every day. The boy almost fainted. 500 kilos, that's every piece of clothing in the sect. Clean the entire sect. Clean the outhouses. If I see a single fly in there, you will live in there. Gather 500 pounds of herbs. If you mix in weeds, I kick you out. Wang Lin went down the line, assigning impossible tasks to everyone who had ever slighted him. Legs gave out. Men collapsed. The entire mountain didn't even have 500 pounds of herbs. But Wang Lin wasn't done. He wanted to make this mess so big that the elders would have to fire him. He pointed to a stranger. You are in luck. Your job is to keep track of gifts, record names and times. If you are greedy, I will kick you out. The disciple kowtowed in gratitude. The crowd was stunned. Wang Lin was boldly asking for bribes in broad daylight. Immediately, a disciple stepped forward with 3 talismans. Brother Wang, this is my respect to you. Wang Lin took them. What was your job? 20 vats of water. Do 5 instead. Thank you, Brother Wang. The crowd surged forward, eager to pay, but Wang Lin raised a hand. Leave, follow the process. Write down your job and your gift and give it to my manager. You can only do this once every 10 days. He slammed his door shut. Outside, the disciples cursed him in their hearts, but walked away defeated. Wang Lin explored the chore house and found a secluded storage room. He cleaned it out, locked the door, and entered the dream space to cultivate. 2 months flew by. Wang Lin barely managed the chore house. He spent his days cultivating and his nights taking bribes. If anyone didn't work, he just snorted coldly and gifts would appear. But Wang Lin was annoyed. His plan had failed. He had turned the chore house into a corrupt, chaotic mess, hoping the elders would fire him so he could focus on cultivation. But strangely, the elders did nothing. No one came to replace him. He was stuck here, his cultivation constantly interrupted by the very chaos he had created. Do I need to be even more unreasonable? Wang Lin wondered. He had become known as the black-hearted king of the chore house, a title even worse than Weasel. But the elders still didn't fire him. He sighed and returned to his cultivation. A year had passed in the dream space. Wang Lin's spiritual energy had hit the limit of the first layer. It was time. One night, he recited the chant for the second layer. He failed, then failed again, but his hard work paid off. Finally, he broke through. Black grease oozed from his pores. After washing, Wang Lin looked in the mirror. His eyes shone like lightning. He was different now, stronger. But a problem arose. He only had the manual for the first 3 layers. If he asked Sun Daju for the next part, the elder would be suspicious. How could a talentless trash reach the second layer so fast? Wang Lin frowned. He practiced his attraction force technique on a large rock to distract himself. His control was perfect now, 10 out of 10 successes. Another month passed. Winter arrived. Snow blanketed the Heng Yue sect. The sect was buzzing. The 10-year honorary disciple competition was coming up. The top 3 would become inner disciples. Everyone was training, plotting, and ignoring the chaos at the chore house. Wang Lin stood in the yard, watching the snow fall. He used his attraction force to push the flakes away, creating a dry circle around him. He thought of home, his father carving wood by the stove, his mother pickling vegetables, the warmth of the fire. He took a deep breath, burying the memories deep in his heart. A cultivator must sever ties, but he couldn't let go of his parents' love. Suddenly, his divine sense, awakened by the second layer, picked up a presence. Wang Hao walked in, shivering in a leather coat. "Brother Taizhu, aren't you cold?" Wang Lin chuckled. "I knew you were coming, you rascal." Wang Hao looked at him closely. "You seem different." Naturally, Wang Lin joked. "I reached the second layer of qi condensation. I am an immortal now." Wang Hao laughed. "Don't boast. Our talent is the same. I take pills every day and haven't reached the first layer. You, reaching the second, impossible." Wang Lin didn't correct him. It was safer this way. "Why are you here?" Wang Lin asked, pouring hot water. Wang Hao sipped the tea. "You haven't picked up your supplies in months. I brought them to you." He placed a package on the table. Wang Lin ignored it, staring at Wang Hao. "Just say what you need, Wang Hao." Wang Hao looked embarrassed. He leaned in close. "Brother Taizhu, I know you've been doing well here, specifically. I know you have a lot of those homecoming talismans. Can you lend me some?" Wang Lin didn't flinch. "How much do you need?" "At least 200, Wang Hao said hesitantly. Wang Lin was stunned. He had over 500 talismans from bribes, but 200 was still a huge number. What for? Wang Hao sighed bitterly. "The inner disciple competition is in 2 months. I have no chance of winning. Wang Zhu has already reached the first layer, and he's attempting the second." Wang Lin raised an eyebrow. "How is he so fast?" "Pills," Wang Hao spat. "His master gave him precious foundation establishment pills. But I have a plan. There is a secret exchange among disciples 1 month before the competition. People trade treasures, swords, pills, techniques." Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. Techniques? Could he get the chance for the later stages of qi condensation there? "But there's a rule," Wang Hao continued. "You need a disguise pill to enter. My master sells them for 200 talismans." "I want to go too," Wang Lin said instantly. He waved his hand, taking out 400 talismans, 4 neat bundles of 100. Wang Hao's eyes lit up. "Brother Taizhu, thank you. I'll come find you in half a month." After Wang Hao left, Wang Lin sat and thought. He had spent his bribe money on the entrance ticket, but what could he trade? He had no swords, no treasures. He decided on the only thing he had in abundance, spiritual spring water. That night, he practiced his attraction force technique on large rocks until his energy drained. Then, he stood in the doorway, watching the snow fall. He had noticed a worrying trend. As his cultivation increased, the effect of the spring water decreased. It was slow but undeniable. One day, it wouldn't be enough. He needed a stronger source. He used attraction force to gather snow into a large pot. Then, he struggled to conjure a small fireball to melt it. He dropped the stone bead into the snow water. 10 minutes later, he tasted it. Better than spring water, but worse than dew, he muttered. It will do. He spent the entire night melting snow and filling his gourds. By dawn, the yard was bare, and he had a new stockpile of energy. For the next few days, Wang Lin was busy. He collected hundreds of gourds of snow water, storing them for future use. 10 days passed. He drank more water than ever before, but his progress was slow. The second layer required far more energy than the first. Even after 9 months of cultivation in the dream space, he still hadn't reached his goal. Finally, the night of the exchange arrived. It was snowing heavily. Wang Hao appeared at his door, shivering. "Master delayed me," he whispered. "Hurry, we're late." They trekked into the mountains, slipping on the icy path. Wang Hao cursed the weather, but Wang Lin felt light and energetic. The cold was refreshing. Wang Hao stopped and handed Wang Lin a green pill. "Take this now," he said. "It hides our identity." They swallowed the pills. Thick black fog erupted around them, masking their faces and bodies. Even their voices became gruff. "Perfect," Wang Lin said, his voice unrecognizable. They arrived at a clearing where dozens of black-fogged figures stood in silence. "Time is up," a hoarse voice announced. "I will start." A figure stepped forward, revealing a small silver sword. "This flying sword is not from the sect. I found it myself. It is powerful, 500 talismans." "Sold," someone shouted instantly. "Next, I have a magical jade that releases an earth-splitting attack. 10 chi-gathering pills." "I'll take it. I'll give 12. The bidding was fierce. Wang Lin watched, fascinated. Then someone stepped forward hesitantly. "I have a technique. It hides your cultivation level for a short time. Unless the person is at the foundation establishment stage, they can't see through it. It's useless, I know. Just 5 pills." The crowd laughed. "Why hide your strength?" Everyone wanted to show off. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was perfect for him. "I'll take it," he called out. The seller rushed over, grateful to get anything for the useless scroll. Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense, memorizing the method instantly. Suddenly, a proud voice rang out. "1 foundation establishment pill. State your offer." The crowd exploded. 20 chi-gathering pills, Wang Hao shouted. 1,000 talismans and a sword. 2,000 talismans. The bidding war was insane. This pill could boost cultivation speed for 2 months. It was a treasure everyone under the 7th layer dreamed of. Wang Lin watched silently, clutching his new technique. He didn't need the pill, he had something better. Wang Lin had no interest in the foundation establishment pill. The price was too high. But then Wang Hao shouted, 230 chi-gathering pills, that's my limit. The seller scoffed, 230, don't make me laugh, if it's under 2,000 pills, I'm not trading. Wang Lin recognized the arrogant voice. It sounded like Wang Zhuo. The crowd moved on. Soon it was Wang Lin's turn. He stepped forward, holding a small bottle. "A mysterious liquid," he announced, his voice disguised. 1 drop equals 1 chi-gathering pill. There are 100 drops here. I want the chance for the 4th layer and above. He uncorked the bottle. The rich scent of spiritual energy filled the air. The crowd gasped. "I'll give you the 4th layer," someone shouted. "I'll give 4th, 5th, and 6th. Wang Lin shook his head. "I want up to the 15th layer. "Brother, that's impossible," a disciple complained. "Even elder brother Kenjai is only at the 6th layer. Only the elders have the higher chance." Suddenly, a cold voice cut through the noise. "If you have 200 drops, I will give you layers 4 through 9. Everyone turned. A man in purple robes walked toward Wang Lin. The crowd bowed in fear. It was Kenjai, the 2nd strongest disciple in the sect. Wang Lin felt a chill. This man was dangerous, stronger than Elder Sun, stronger than anyone he had met. "I only have a few dozen drops left for myself," Wang Lin lied. "I don't have that much." Kenjai tossed a jade piece to Wang Lin. "Fine, give me the rest and these chants are yours." Wang Lin checked the jade, layers 4 to 9. It was real. He placed 2 bottles on the ground, careful not to get close. Kenjai took the bottles and smirked. "If you get more liquid, find me in the back mountains. I can get you anything, pills, swords, even the chant for the 10th layer. He walked away. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Kenjai's words were vicious. By announcing that he would trade with anyone who brought the liquid, he had just put a target on Wang Lin's back. Now, everyone knew the liquid was valuable enough to trade for anything. As the exchange ended, Wang Lin didn't wait for Wang Hao. He slapped a dozen speed talismans on his legs and vanished into the night. Greedy disciples tried to chase him, but he was too fast. He hid in an empty room until dawn, waiting for his disguise to fade. Only then did he sneak back to the chore house, clutching the jade that held the key to his future power. With the new chance, Wang Lin continued his cultivation in secret. Tension loomed over the Heng Yue sect. The disciple competitions were coming. The inner disciples were eyeing the grand prize, the 2-moon ring, an ancient treasure. The honorary disciples were desperate to rank in the top 3 and gain promotion. Wang Lin ignored it all. He practiced his techniques and cultivated in the dream space. One day he went to see Sun Daju. He activated his hiding technique, disguising his cultivation as the 1st layer. "Master," he said respectfully outside the garden, "my cultivation is too low. I don't want to embarrass you. I wish to skip the competition." Sun Daju sneered. "At least you are self-aware, you brat. Look at your relative Wang Zhuo. He is already at the peak of the 1st layer. If you went, you'd be crushed." He paused. "Did you find any more gourds?" Wang Lin shook his head. "No, master, it's strange. I haven't seen any." "Scram then," Sun Daju snapped. "Every time I see you, I get angry." "Master," Wang Lin pressed, "can I leave the mountain to train until after the new year?" "No," Sun Daju barked. "In 4 years, we have a competition against the Xuan Dao sect. The sect head ordered intense training for all inner disciples starting now. If you don't improve in 4 years, I will kick you out." Wang Lin sighed. His plan to leave failed. He returned to the chore house. The competitions passed. Wang Lin didn't attend. He heard that brother Zhang won 1st place among the inner disciples, and Wang Zhuo, predictably, dominated the newcomers. A week later, bells rang out across the sect. 5 chimes, all inner disciples were summoned. Wang Lin, deep in the dream space, didn't hear a thing. Suddenly, his door was kicked open. "Wang Lin," Sun Daju roared, furious, "are you deaf? Everyone is waiting for you. You are embarrassing me again." He grabbed Wang Lin and flew to the main hall, throwing him mercilessly onto the ground. "If you shame me again, I will kill you myself," Sun Daju hissed, his eyes filled with genuine killing intent. Wang Lin rubbed his bruised shoulder. If he hadn't reached the 2nd layer, that fall would have broken his arm. He suppressed his anger and followed his master inside. The grand hall was filled with statues of ancient sages. Dozens of eyes turned to stare at Wang Lin as he entered. The pressure was suffocating. He lowered his head, trying to make himself invisible. Inside the main hall, more than 40 inner disciples stood in silence. Wang Lin saw familiar faces: Wang Zhuo, Sister Su, Sister Zhou, and brother Zhang. 2 rows of elders sat in front, expressions cold. The sect head, a man in a blue gown with eyes like lightning, spoke first. "Junior brother, Sun, is this your disciple?" Sun Daju forced a smile. "Yes, sect head. This is Wang Lin. He is new." A red-faced elder sneered. "The disciple is like the master, dumb and talentless." Sun Daju's face flushed red. He glared at Wang Lin but said nothing. The sect head ignored the squabble. "Listen well," he commanded. "For the next 4 years, you will undergo intense training. We must defeat the Xuan Dao sect. To help you, the sect is providing 10,000 qi-gathering pills. None of you may leave the mountain during this time." He waved his sleeve. Opened. A blinding white light engulfed the disciples. Wang Lin felt a warm sensation, and in the blink of an eye, the grand hall vanished. He was standing in a valley. The spiritual energy here was thick, far denser than outside. A massive cliff face towered over them, riddled with caves like a giant beehive. Wang Zhu caught Wang Lin's eye and smiled coldly. Suddenly, a youth in purple robes stepped out of a cave. Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. It was him, the dangerous trader from the black market who had bought Wang Lin's spiritual liquid, the one who had threatened to rob anyone who had more. The youth introduced himself as Zhang Quang. "This is the back mountain," Zhang Quang announced. a training ground built by ancient masters. Focus on cultivation or we will kick you out. He waved his hand, and 50 bottles of pills appeared on the ground. One by one, the disciples stepped forward. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Thanks to his hiding technique, he appeared to be a mortal who hadn't even reached the first layer. He grabbed a bottle. "Stop," Zhang Kuang said, staring at him. "What is your name? Why haven't you even reached the first layer? Who is your master?" Wang Lin bowed respectfully. "Senior brother, I am Wang Lin. My master is Sun Dazhu. My talent is lacking." Zhang Kuang laughed. "I heard about you, the one with bad talent. Well, perseverance is key. Work hard." "Yes, senior brother." Zhang Kuang looked at the high cliff. "You can't even fly. I'll give you a lift." He waved his sleeve, and an invisible force lifted Wang Lin, depositing him gently in front of a cave. Wang Lin thanked him profusely on the outside, but inside his heart was cold. He knew Zhang Kuang's true, vicious nature. He entered the cave and pulled a lever. With a roar, a giant rock fell, sealing the entrance completely. Wang Lin was finally alone. The cave was small with no water source, but Wang Lin smiled. He touched his bag of holding. Inside were hundreds of gourds filled with snow water. He was ready. Inside the main hall, more than 40 inner disciples stood in silence. Wang Lin saw familiar faces: Wang Zhuo, Sister Su, Sister Zhou, and Brother Zhang. 2 rows of elders sat in front, expressions cold. The sect head, a man in a blue gown with eyes like lightning, spoke first. "Junior brother, son, is this your disciple?" Sun Dazhu forced a smile. "Yes, sect head. This is Wang Lin. He is new." A red-faced elder sneered. "The disciple is like the master, dumb and talentless." Sun Dazhu's face flushed red. He glared at Wang Lin but said nothing. The sect head ignored the squabble. "Listen well," he commanded. "For the next 4 years you will undergo intense training. We must defeat the Xuan Dao sect. To help you, the sect is providing 10,000 qi gathering pills. None of you may leave the mountain during this time." He waved his sleeve. Opened. A blinding white light engulfed the disciples. Wang Lin felt a warm sensation, and in the blink of an eye, the grand hall vanished. He was standing in a valley. The spiritual energy here was thick, far denser than outside. A massive cliff face towered over them, riddled with caves like a giant beehive. Wang Zhu caught Wang Lin's eye and smiled coldly. Suddenly, a youth in purple robes stepped out of a cave. Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. It was him, the dangerous trader from the black market who had bought Wang Lin's spiritual liquid, the one who had threatened to rob anyone who had more. The youth introduced himself as Zhang Kuang. "This is the back mountain," Zhang Kuang announced. "A training ground built by ancient masters. Focus on cultivation or we will kick you out." He waved his hand, and 50 bottles of pills appeared on the ground. One by one, the disciples stepped forward. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Thanks to his hiding technique, he appeared to be a mortal who hadn't even reached the first layer. He grabbed a bottle. "Stop," Zhang Kuang said, staring at him. "What is your name? Why haven't you even reached the first layer? Who is your master?" Wang Lin bowed respectfully. "Senior brother, I am Wang Lin. My master is Sun Dazhu. My talent is lacking." Zhang Kuang laughed. "I heard about you, the one with bad talent. Well, perseverance is key. Work hard." "Yes, senior brother." Zhang Kuang looked at the high cliff. "You can't even fly. I'll give you a lift." He waved his sleeve, and an invisible force lifted Wang Lin, depositing him gently in front of a cave. Wang Lin thanked him profusely on the outside, but inside his heart was cold. He knew Zhang Kuang's true, vicious nature. He entered the cave and pulled a lever. With a roar, a giant rock fell, sealing the entrance completely. Wang Lin was finally alone. The cave was small with no water source, but Wang Lin smiled. He touched his bag of holding. Inside were hundreds of gourds filled with snow water. He was ready. Wang Lin sealed himself in the cave. 2 years passed in the real world. But in the dream space, he had been training for 13 years. With the intense spiritual energy of the back mountain and his stockpile of snow water, Wang Lin broke through the second layer and reached the peak of the third layer of qi condensation. But then he hit a wall. For 7 years in the dream space, he remained stuck at the peak of the third layer. No matter how much energy he absorbed, he couldn't break through to the fourth. A mysterious force blocked him every time. Stranger still, while he couldn't advance, his spiritual energy kept growing. It had no limit, constantly transforming his body, making him stronger without technically leveling up. Today, his snow water ran out. He had one gourd left, the ancient one filled with dangerous jelly-like dew. He dared not touch it yet, it was too potent. He pulled the lever. The stone door roared open and sunlight blinded him. He looked down into the valley. Many disciples were gathered there, chatting. Activating his hiding technique, he disguised his cultivation as the first layer. Then, he used his mastered attraction force technique to float gently down the cliff. After 13 years of practice, his control was perfect. He could fly without a sword, purely by manipulating gravity around his body. As he landed, a mocking voice greeted him. The sun came out from the west. Even the trash Wang Lin reached the first layer. It was Wang Zhuo, sitting with a group of inner disciples. A white-clothed youth laughed. Wang Lin, you shouldn't be here. Go back to the chore house where you can pretend to be important. Here, you are the worst of us. Wang Lin scanned them. Wang Zhuo was at the peak of the third layer. The white-clothed youth was at the peak of the fourth. Wang Zhuo sneered. You were smart to skip the competition 2 years ago. Trash will always be trash. You will never match me. The white-clothed youth threw an empty bottle at Wang Lin's feet. Junior brother, fetch me some water. If I'm in a good mood, I might give you some pointers. Wang Lin stared at him silently. What, the youth scoffed, you want to fight? That's enough. A figure descended like lightning. It was senior brother Zhang. Wang Zhuo, son Hao, stop bullying a junior who is only at the first layer. The two bullies went silent, clearly afraid of Zhang. Zhang turned to Wang Lin. Wang Lin, you should focus on cultivation. In this world, power is everything. Wang Lin nodded. Brother Zhang, I have a question. I reached the peak of the first layer, but I can't break through to the second. Why? Wang Zhuo snorted. With your talent, don't dream about the second layer. The key to breaking through depends on talent, Brother Zhang said coldly. Some succeed quickly. Others take hundreds of years. Wang Lin put on a sad face. Is it always this hard? What about the third to the fourth layer? Zhang nodded. The later stages are harder. The third to fourth layer is a bottleneck. It has nothing to do with talent, but your ability to understand that the road is merciless. You must sever your mortal ties. If you can't, you will be stuck forever. Wang Lin was stunned. Sever his ties. He wandered into the valley, deep in thought. He found a river rich in spiritual energy and began filling his gourds. Suddenly, a voice spoke from behind him. Brother Wang, you came prepared with so many gourds. Did you know about this river? It was Zhang Quang, standing like a ghost. Wang Lin's heart sank. He hadn't sensed him at all. Master told me, Wang Lin lied calmly. Zhang Quang stared at him for a moment. Good. Reaching the first layer in 2 years shows determination. Keep working. He left. Wang Lin's back was soaked in sweat. If Zhang knew he was actually at the third layer, he might have killed him right there. Wang Lin returned to his cave and sealed the door. Sever all ties, he muttered. He knew he could never sever the love for his parents. Did that mean he was stuck at the third layer forever? But something strange was happening. Usually when a cultivator hits a bottleneck, their energy stops growing. But Wang Lin's energy kept increasing. The third layer seemed to have no limit. He decided to stop worrying about the breakthrough and just let his energy build. Time flew by. 2 more years passed in the real world. In total, Wang Lin had been in closed-door training for 4 years. But in the dream space, he had been cultivating for over 25 years. His cultivation was still technically at the third layer, but the amount of spiritual energy in his body was terrifying. Finally, the intense training ended. An arrogant voice shouted outside, "Come out, the sect head is here." Wang Lin emerged from his cave. He scanned the other disciples with his divine sense. Wang Zhuo had reached the peak of the 5th layer. Sister Su was at the 3rd. Brother Zhang was at the 6th. But Wang Lin noticed something odd. Sister Zhou had been at the 3rd layer 2 years ago, and she hadn't improved at all. Her energy had hit a hard ceiling. Wang Lin realized the truth. For everyone else, the 3rd layer had a limit. But for him, His third layer was a bottomless ocean. Wang Lin analyzed his situation. He realized why his third layer had no limit. It was the dream space. The strange, glowing orbs he absorbed in his sleep had changed him. He decided to stop hiding his cultivation level. Reaching the third layer after 4 years of intense training was reasonable. It wouldn't raise suspicion. But there was one thing he kept hidden. For 20 years in the dream space, he had practiced the attraction force technique nonstop. It was the most basic spell in the cultivation world. No one in the entire country of Zhao would waste 20 years mastering it, but Wang Lin had, and now his control over it had reached a terrifying level. Suddenly, a white light descended from the sky. Wang Lin felt the familiar pull of teleportation. In an instant, the valley vanished. He stood in the main hall. The sect head sat on his throne, smiling. "Very good," the sect head said. "You have all improved. Those at the 5th layer and above stay here. The rest go report to your masters. The competition with the Xuan Dao sect begins in 3 days. We must win." Wang Lin left the hall and headed for Sun Daju's herb garden. He released his divine sense. Years ago, the seal on the garden gate had terrified him. Now, it looked full of holes. He felt he could break it with a thought. His sense swept inside and found Sun Daju cultivating. The master didn't notice a thing. Wang Lin withdrew his sense and called out respectfully. "Disciple Wang Lin greets the master." Inside, Sun Daju hesitated. He had almost forgotten he had a disciple. "Come in," he shouted arrogantly. Wang Lin entered. Sun Daju scanned him and gasped. You reached the 3rd layer." Wang Lin bowed. "Disciple trained hard for 4 years. I barely made it." Sun Daju blinked. He had planned to use the soul search technique on Wang Lin once he reached the 1st layer, but now, it wasn't worth the backlash. "Fine," Sun Daju grunted. "Since you reached the 3rd layer, you are truly my disciple. You can move back in. Did you practice the attraction force technique?" Wang Lin kept his face blank. "I practiced a little, master, but I am still very unfamiliar with it." Sun Daju nodded sagely. "That is natural. It takes practice. I practiced it for a whole year. That is considered a long time in the sect. Watch this." He waved his hand. A small, colorful sword flew around the room and landed back in his palm. "This is the drive technique," Sun Daju bragged. "You need to be at the 4th layer to use it. Since you are only at the 3rd, you can't control a flying sword properly. But the competition is coming, and you can't make me look bad." He tossed a token to Wang Lin. "Go to the sword shrine. Pick a good-looking flying sword. You can't fight with it, but you can use your attraction force to hold it and look fierce. Just for show. Do not embarrass me." Wang Lin stood there, stunned. His master wanted him to get a weapon, just to pose with it. He forced a smile. "Disciple will definitely look fierce, master. Don't worry." Sun Daju nodded in satisfaction. "Keep this token," he said. "You can enter and exit freely, but do not touch my herbs." Wang Lin nodded and left for the sword pavilion. Outside sat a chubby disciple in white. He scanned Wang Lin and frowned. "Junior brother, you are only at the 3rd layer. This place is for the 4th layer and above." Wang Lin tossed him the token. The fat disciple looked at it, his face twitching. Finally, he burst out laughing. "Ah, elder brother Sun's tradition. Every competition, he likes his disciples to show off a sword they can't use." Wang Lin smiled awkwardly. The fat man wiped tears of laughter from his eyes. "Go in. I recommend the 3rd sword on the right. It is truly amazing, the most amazing sword in the country of Zhao." Wang Lin thanked him and walked toward the pavilion. Suddenly, a wave of resistance hit him, the protective formation. The fat disciple gasped. He had forgot to turn it off. He opened his mouth to warn Wang Lin, but the words died in his throat. Wang Lin felt the resistance, but he just snorted. He remembered the shame of being rejected years ago. He pushed forward. 5 meters, 3 meters, 1 meter. The resistance increased, but Wang Lin walked through it like it was nothing. He stepped inside. Outside, the fat disciple was stunned. Is it broken? He wondered. He stepped forward to test it. Boom! The pressure hit him like a tidal wave, throwing him backward. He landed hard, coughing up blood. It's not broken. He wheezed, staring at the door in terror. Inside, Wang Lin scanned the racks until he found the sword the fat man mentioned. He stared at it, speechless. It wasn't a sword. It was a giant rectangular slab of iron, 2 palms wide and a meter long, and it was coated entirely in gold. 2 large diamonds studded the hilt. Even the tassel was made of gold threads. It was gaudy, it was ridiculous. It was a showpiece for the rich. A sign next to it read, "This sword is named Wealth. Made by an elder 500 years ago, it has unimaginable power, theoretically. Do not sell it or you will be kicked out of the sect." Wang Lin laughed. It was perfect. If he ever needed money, he could just scrape some gold off. "I choose you," he said, storing the monstrosity in his bag. He walked out. The fat disciple, now terrified and respectful, bowed low as he passed. Back at the garden, Sun Dazhu stared at the golden slab. "You have guts, kid," he muttered. "I didn't dare to pick that one. Fine, take it to the competition, show it off." 3 days later, bells rang across the mountain, 9 times. The sect head and all the disciples gathered outside the main hall. In the distance, a black dot appeared in the sky. It grew larger and larger until it revealed itself. A 1,000-foot-long black centipede, riding on dark clouds, roared toward them. The inner disciples gasped in fear. Faces went pale. "What's the big deal?" A red-faced elder shouted, his voice booming like thunder. "It's just a bug. If we all strike it, it will die just the same." The giant centipede roared, its 1,000-foot body casting a dark shadow over the Heng Yue disciples. "HMPH," an elder whispered fiercely. "The Xuan Dao sect always bullies us because we don't have a spirit beast. If we get the chance, we should kill that bug." Sect head Huang Long remained calm. He summoned a purple sword, which transformed into a roaring purple dragon. It coiled protectively over the sect, forcing the centipede to stop. Laughter echoed from the bug's back. "Friend Huang Long, the rumors are true. That sword contains a dragon soul. Remember our bet. If we win, you return our 137 stolen treasures and give us 200 flying swords." "If you win," Huang Long replied coolly, "but if you lose, you hand over your beast-controlling technique." The dragon faded back into a sword. The centipede landed, and dozens of disciples jumped down. Wang Lin's eyes widened. Every single Xuan Dao disciple wore purple robes, and they were all stunningly beautiful. The lead male disciple was handsome and masculine, his sword strapped to his back. The lead female disciple was breathtaking, with long hair and bright red lips. When Wang Lin looked at her, his heart raced uncontrollably. He quickly looked away, forcing himself to calm down. "Despicable," an elder shouted, "using charm arts on us." Elder Qin of the Xuan Dao sect laughed. "Look closer, old friend. These two have pure water spirit roots. It's natural charm, not magic. Your disciples are just impure." The Heng Yue elders looked unsettled. Sect head Huang Long smoothed things over. "Rest at our sect. The competition begins in 3 days." The elders began to chat, sharing gossip from the cultivation world. Scandals about pregnancies, betrayals, and kill orders filled the air. Wang Lin listened intently, piecing together a picture of the brutal cultivation world. Suddenly, he felt a gaze on him. It was the beautiful girl from the Xuan Dao sect. She was smiling at him. Liu Mei was surprised. Her innate charm worked on almost everyone, yet this ordinary-looking disciple at the 3rd layer was the first to recover. Who was he? Wang Lin nodded politely but stayed guarded. He noticed something else. While everyone focused on the 2 beautiful leaders, the Xuan Dao disciples seemed to show subtle respect to a middle-aged man standing quietly in the back. Wang Lin lowered his head, hiding his observations. There was more to this sect than met the eye.